Goedenavond, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And I want to have a little bit of a fireside chat with you about what is happening in South Africa. And first of all, I'll just mention I've put a link down below this video to a trip that I had for about a month around South Africa. And I drove in a car. Most of the time I was in a car, and I drove all the way up the coast from Cape Town to Durban. Never had a problem. Yeah, there were stop-goes on the way, and all South Africans know what stop-goes are. But traveling through South Africa was relatively safe back then. Now, that was about just over 8 years ago. No, sorry, just under 8 years ago. It was in 2011, in about September. So you could say it's about 7.5 years ago. Now, how things have changed in just 7 years in South Africa is quite extraordinary. What we now have is, and I think the naysayers in South Africa, you know, the white South Africans that say, oh, no, South Africa's fine, nothing's changed, it's all good, it's all cool. I think they're starting to realize that that is not quite the case. I think they're starting to realize that things are changing dramatically, especially in the last year. As I said in the earlier video, when I started reporting on South Africa about 13 months ago now, over 13 months ago now, there were very few of these roadside blockages by rioters and things like that going on. But they are commonplace now. It's almost like you expect it when you take your car out, you go for a drive. And what is becoming very concerning, and it's becoming more and more visible, we saw what happened with Durban, with the Durban Sanitary Waste, DSW, where all these MK ANC veterans were given high-paying jobs when they didn't know what the hell they were doing. It's the growing presence of these MK soldiers in the riots that happen. And I'm going to attach a video here to this intro of the MK fighters peacefully protesting. You know, they're doing little dances and they're being stupid. This is in the middle of Pietermaritzburg. And in fact, this is a shout out to Craig. Craig, thank you so much. This is very, very interesting. Craig says, hi Scott, MK veterans, corner of Long Market and Commercial Roads in Pietermaritzburg, City Hall in the background. Today about housing and jobs in the municipality. So now they're pushing for jobs in the Pietermaritzburg municipality, which is just going to extend the chaos of what happened after what happened in Durban. But it gets worse. I mean, you know, South Africa is just denigrating into a load of shit. I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years' time the African population have gone back to mud huts and driving cattle around the place. And business is just gone. Cactus. I mean, that's where it's going. It's going back to the lowest common denominator, which is where these Africans were before Jan van Riebeeck and the settlers came in and brought them into a civilized world. They're denigrating back to witchcraft and violence. It's a way of life that they lived before they were civilized by the white people who came through. And this is just another example. It's a report of what's going on in Pietermaritzburg. And Pietermaritzburg used to be called the Mother City. It was a beautiful, quiet city. It has these jacaranda trees that go down these long lanes. And in September, October, they flower and they are magnificent. They are absolutely magnificent. And the other interesting thing about Pietermaritzburg, which was laid out by the Boers, by the way, and it's named after Pieter and Maritz, and there were two voortrekkers. And they basically helped map out Pietermaritzburg. And the streets in Pietermaritzburg were built wide enough for you to be able to turn a 16 oxen wagon around in. That's how they determined the width of the roads in Pietermaritzburg. So they're very wide. But now it's under black rule. Things aren't so good anymore. Kokwani location in Pietermaritzburg was brought to a standstill on Thursday as scores of angry residents protested over a lack of clean water. Residents from Ward 39 say they have been living without a consistent supply of tap water for several years and demanded that Msunduzi Municipality Deputy Mayor Thabani Zuma address their pleas. This is Pietermaritzburg, by the way. Earlier protesters had blocked all the roads to the location with burning tyres and large stones. Taxis were not operating, the schools remained closed. Police also used tear gas to disperse protesting residents, but no arrests were made. There has been no water for 7 years, said resident Tabili Dludla. He said that on the odd chance when a water tanker came to the area, it only catered for residents along the main road. Our taps have been running dry for years. We drink water from dirty streams. Some of us have dug ditches so that we have water. We want Deputy Mayor Zuma to come and tell us when the problem is, or what the problem is, said Ludla. Another resident, Mary Sishi, 60, said, I should be at home, but I can't. Let others fight for this. I have a tap at home, but it's been dry for years. Sishi said she often struggled to take her medication daily because she did not have clean water at home. My grandchildren help me fetch water. It is a distance from our house, she said. Now, look, the point I'm going to make here is that in the old bad apartheid days, pre-1994, they would have had water coming to those taps. But the whole municipality is so run down now by this black mob of councillors and the mayor that, like Durban, it's in chaos. The cities of South Africa are in meltdown. They're in chaos. Service delivery is disappearing. It is just absolutely devastating to consider that this is the South Africa I once lived in, knew and loved. In bid to quell tensions, Deputy Mayor Zuma arrived to address protesters while heavily armed police and private security watched. He acknowledged that there was a huge problem with water supply and promised residents that water tankers would arrive by Thursday evening. But by 9 a.m. Friday, nothing had happened. He attributed the scarcity of water to the growing population of residents. Zuma said the municipality was building a dam that would supply enough water to surrounding communities. There are 23,000 low-cost homes that were recently built in Vulindlela. People have showers and flushing toilets. That alone increases the demand of water, he said. Zuma also promised to return to the area on Sunday to meet with residents and discuss its long-term solutions. Look, you don't have to be a genius to see what's happening. Service delivery has broken down, and everybody in South Africa should be prepping. And the most important thing you can prep is bottled water, because without bottled water or without fresh drinking water, you cannot survive. So my message to everybody who's listening to this video right now, if you don't have at least 100 litres of fresh drinking water at your home, go and get it now. And if you've got a large family, get 500 litres. Because at least with water you can survive. Without fresh drinking water, you can't. And these are very, very troubled times. I quite seriously, I can see a time in the not too distant future where you will go to the local shop where you get your bread, you get your milk, you get the sweets, You get maybe a can of spaghetti or whatever it might be that you're going to have, and then you go home with it. I can see a time in the not too distant future where you go to that shop and the shelves will be bare because the trucks can't come through, they can't deliver produce, and then what are you going to do? So guys, this is a very serious situation. It's no longer something that might happen. I can guarantee you what I've just talked about is going to happen. And you are crazy not to prepare for that scenario. Please, guys. I'm going to put Dwayne's prepping page down below from Boer and Broer. Watch his videos and learn. Please, guys. You've got to do this. You've got to be prepared. All right. That's the end of my fireside chat. Remember, I'm also putting a link to my trip around South Africa in 2011. As I say, that was about 7.5 years ago. And I encountered no problems on the roads at all, apart from stop and goes, which have been part of the South African scenery for a long, long time, certainly since 1994. All right, guys, have a great evening. Please remember to subscribe and click the bell to get the updates. Take care. Bye.